Good morning. We are doing the Bhagavad Gita. So we are in chapter 4. We are doing verse 35 onwards. Now, what we had understood in the previous few verses is how does a person reach this state of this enlightenment? So today we are going to talk about the knower of truth and what exactly transpires when he becomes a knower of truth. Now, when we say the knower of truth, this word itself is qualified by the word knower, isn't it? Knower means what? Knower means knowledge only, isn't it? Somebody who has knowledge. So, we are going to do something which is associated with knowledge, not from the Sankhya Yoga point of view, but from the Karma Yoga point of view. Remember, we are doing Karma Yoga vis-a-vis Sankhya Yoga. The two yogas are being pitted against each other. So we have to understand the truth about the enlightenment part. So let us see the verse. So this is chapter 4, the Bhagavad Gita, verse 35. Arjuna, when you have achieved enlightenment, ignorance will delude you no more. In the light of that knowledge, you will see the entire creation first within your own self and then in me, the overself. Now, what is the meaning of this when you have achieved enlightenment? Enlightenment is literally like a very strange fruit up there which nobody seems to get to. No, it's nothing like that. Everybody is born enlightened, but the covering of ignorance is so thick and deep, very, very thick, that the person forgets himself. It is literally like if you have seen the movie Joker, or if you have seen the past, I forget his name, the one who got the Oscar award previously as the Joker, one who played the Joker. Now, this individual got so much into that character that he forgot himself. If you get into the character and you forget who you are, it's the biggest problem of your life. And that is what happens to everybody. No exceptions. No exceptions. Even an avatar gets into that. So if you think that avatars are not getting into it, you're mistaken. Because even the greatest of the avatars also get covered by this ignorance. They forget who they are. No exceptions. Remember this. So the path towards enlightenment begins at a certain point in time. Now, this particular time comes in somebody's life at a particular juncture. We cannot say when it comes. To some, it comes very early in life. To some, it comes much later. Now, age is not a factor over here, but that trigger is extremely important. You are living in a family. You can see your own relatives, that is, maybe your father, mother, or your husband, wife, children, relatives, friends, drivers, you name it. There are so many people around you and they have no knowledge about spiritual. What is their knowledge about spiritual? Oh, spirituality means going to the place of worship wherever they are supposed to go. They just have to pray over there. God, give me this. This I want. This is what is happening in my world. I have to get out of this. I need money. I need this. I need. That's it. According to them, that is spirituality. Whereas the truth is different. Some of you have got that spark. That little something has happened. And that something is very important. It might have happened many, many years ago for some of you, and some of you might have got it right now. You got bitten by the bug, we say, no? That bug biting is very, very important. And when you got bitten by the bug, it started your spiritual traveling, that journey. And when you are traveling on the journey, you are going to explore a lot of things. Let us say you are going by a train or a plane. When you get inside the train, you are very excited. I am going to this place. When you're getting inside the plane, you are looking around. When you're sitting in the airport, you're looking at every other person around. You're waiting for your call. You're waiting for so many things to happen. But when you're sitting in your seat, you may just look around a little bit. You may not even observe the person. And then you are lost in that own reverie, the own mind for the next 2 hours, 3 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours, whatever time that train or the plane takes. Then you don't care who is next to you. Right? If you are in share a cab, there are lots of apps where you can share a cab with someone. You're waiting for the cab to turn up. Finally, the cab is round the corner. You're sitting inside it. You look at the driver. You look at everybody around one glance. And then you sit in your seat and you're not even bothered. Then you're only bothered about getting to your destination. So do you understand that this first thing which happens, the trigger, is very, very important. So in your lifetime, you will remember the triggers. Something which set you on the journey. After that, the journey, most of the time it is like you're literally going in a sleep, sleep mode. Sometimes people fall asleep on their seat only. And they will wake up when the plane has landed. And suddenly find screeching of the tires or some sound is coming. And then you get up and oh, my flight has landed. Most of the people don't even know what has happened. Unless and until and nowadays, so they won't even come to wake you up. But in prior to 2019, they will definitely come 10 times towards your place and say, would you like to have something? Would you? Okay. So that was the case. But now nobody is going to come near you. You know that. So coming to this journey. So this journey is important. When you have traversed on the journey, the initial thing is very, very strong and you feel very excited about it. Yeah, I'm going. And then later on, it's not much. Till you are nearing your destination. And when you are nearing your destination, suppose you go through turbulence, suppose the train stops somewhere or something happens on the way. Yes, you want to get out and see what is happening. You can't get out of the plane, of course, but you can get out of the train and you walk on the tracks and see, oh, something is happening over here. Or otherwise, you are not bothered. Got it? So this is the way in which how the journey is traversed. While doing your path of karma yoga, you're traversing the path. You're coming to a point where you become enlightened. You have reached your destination. So when you have reached your destination, what happens? Knowledge comes to you. So the answer. When you have achieved enlightenment, ignorance will delude you no more. Take the simplest case. You have never tasted a particular dish in your life. All right? Now, for me, the dish which I have never tasted in my life is pasta. And people will look at me, pasta you haven't tasted? What are you saying? I have never tasted. And so, the moment I put, a spoonful of it in my mouth, what happens to me? Tung! It happens, I get the knowledge about that subject. Now tell me, what was before and what is now? What is the difference? Can I remove this taste from my mouth or from my mind or from my intellect, from my memory? Can I erase it? No way. No way. You can never remove it after that. Right? This is exactly what happens. The moment you reach the destination, you cannot remove what you have not understood in the previous case. Like say for example, not knowing pasta. Can you do that? So after eating pasta, can I say not knowing pasta? I cannot say these words. Exactly like that. If I have gone to Disneyland or Disney World or some, very beautiful place, if I have gone to see Eiffel Towers, can I say I want to see Eiffel Tower because I have not seen? You have already seen. Can you unsee it? This is the problem. Unseeing it never happens. Now you see there are sneaky people in this world, okay? And they like to observe everything around them. They see certain things. Okay. Now imagine you are in a restaurant, right? And you see the waiter coming from there with his hand dipped inside the glass of water. Now, can you unsee that? So you can't unsee that. You are going to be always remembering, oh, that fellow has dipped his hand in the water. Got it? This is the problem with human beings. So did you get the point? Knowledge that you have seen cannot be made unseen. Simple. So now understand this line. This line is important for you to know how this whole thing has been structured. When you have achieved enlightenment, ignorance will delude you no more. There is no such thing as unseen. Got it? That means you are no longer ignorant. In the light of that knowledge which has struck you, it has come to you, you will see the entire creation first within yourself. This needs a certain amount of understanding. What is the meaning of the word? Seeing within yourself. You see, the idea that there is a world outside of you, all this phenomenal world is around you. Can you see the whole world around you? Right now also, if you turn your head like this and like this, you can see everything around you. You are inside the body, correct? There is one bottle in which you are stuffed in, okay? You are literally poured inside the bottle and the bottle has been sealed. Think like that. So naturally you are watching from inside this glass bottle. Think. There is a glass bottle and from that you are watching everything around you. Can you see the separation between you and everything around you? Of course. The whole world appears separated from you. There is the problem with every human being over here. We are bottled inside. Bottled inside. So we cannot see the world outside of us. With the idea that I am there. I am inside here and the world is outside there. So separation is there. Now, let us bring this whole thing to another place. You are incarcerated, you are in a jail, you are in a jail inside, and maybe you have a window to the outside world. You can see through the window. Do you feel yourself trapped inside that cell of yours? And the world outside? Right? So you feel the separation. You see the policeman standing over there saying, you have done some crime, so you are inside. So this kind of separation is there in that bottle, this bottle of ours, and this jail of ours. This jail is the body. So inside this jail, I am looking at the world outside and seeing everybody is free. They're roaming around here and there. I am inside this jail. Then what happens is, I am liberated. I am told you can get out of the jail. So when I get out of the jail, what happens to me? I become the common public around, the one who is outside. So what is the difference now? I have become one with the public outside. I am not in the jail. So now let us look at it from this point of view. Inside the jail is the body. Outside is the self. The self. So when I get out of the jail, I am one with the self. Can you imagine? One with the self. Now remember the bottle. You are inside the bottle. Alright? You are literally like a water inside the bottle. Do you feel trapped inside? Can you see the whole world around you? Imagine you are a water bottle, Aquafina or the Kinley or some such. You are standing there amongst all the Technicolor, all these beautiful bottles around you. Some of them are orange, some of them are green, some of them are yellow. I don't know, all different color. And some of them are cola. And you look at them. Oh, he's a cola. He is a Sprite. He is this one. He is that one. So you keep on looking at everybody. I am in this bottle. So you are in this bottle and everything is outside of you. So do you feel the separation between everybody around? Of course you feel the separation. And you think, I am very good, I am the pure bottle of water. Whereas look at all that. That is yellow in color. That is orange in color. That is green in color. That is, all different colors. Brown in color. Now, if I have to take this bottle, okay, and dunk it in the ocean. With the lid on, of course. With the lid on, if I am dunked in the ocean, what happens to me? I am looking at the water around me. Oh, they are trying to drown me. They are trying to drown you? Sir, you are a water bottle. You are the water inside. Who is going to drown you inside the water? Alright? And now, someone opens the cap and releases the water inside the ocean. Where is the water from the bottle now? You can't identify it because now it is somewhere in the ocean. It has become one with it. Did you get the point? It has become one with the ocean. So now think of yourself as this bottle and everybody in different clothes around you, different colors, different kinds of breed. Some are brown color, some are yellow color, some are orange color, some are white color, all colored people around you. And you see the difference between them. They are also liquid. Remember this, that is also water, but colored water. Now, all these bottles are dumped in the ocean. When they are dumped in the ocean, with the lids on, they feel, oh, I'm getting drowned, I'm drowning. And when you open the lid and the water comes out, whether it is brown color, yellow color, green color, whatever color that you want, you just pour the water inside the ocean. Everything has become water color. Now everything has become water alone. So what is the difference now? Nothing. So let us go step by step to understand from there to there. Remember, The ocean is a big stretch of water, very, very big stretch of water. The water inside the bottle is separate, that is you. And the water inside the other bottles, they are separate, right? That big ocean, let us call it the self. SELF. The difference over here, remember the word is SEA, correct? Sea. The word here is the sea. And in the bottle, you are. That is also the self. But let us write it as small SELF. That is the small self. That is the big self. Got it? So every bottle has the small self in it. This much is understood? Now, when I dunk you in the ocean, I am separate, okay? I'm going to dunk you, not anybody else. That is the Guru's job, of course. So when I'm dunking you in the ocean, you're going to say, I'm drowning, I'm drowning, I'm drowning. What? Who is drowning? Nobody is drowning. You are water, that is water. Got it? What can you see in the bottle? The sea. Did you get the point? That is the SEA. This SEE is SEA. Okay, it is like one Babaji explaining, that is me, I am that, and me is me. Oh my God, it's a very confusing thing. Okay, so that bottle contains the water. Now I put that water in the bottle inside the sea. Now I open the lid. Opening the lid is like, you see, going away from here. Enlightenment. The bulb is glowing. So this self, the small self, now gets into the big self. When it gets into the big self, that is the big sea, the water over there, the huge ocean over there, the sea over there. When this bottle is opened inside that, it has lost its identity. I cannot identify that small self in the big self. Do you get the point? Now see what is happening over here. You and all other bottles which had the small self in it are now dumped in the ocean, this big self, the sea, and all the bottles are open. Everybody has lost their identity in the sea. There is no way of saying, oh, this was orange color, this was brown color, this was white color, this was yellow color. There is no way of identifying it. Because, number one, you have lost the bottle. Got it? The bottle is gone. It is of no use to you. That means the body. The body is lost. The self inside becomes one with the divine self. So now see this. In the light of this knowledge, you will see the creation, entire creation first within your own self. See the way how this self is written. Capital SELF. See the way in which it is put? That small self became the big self now. Can you identify the separation? Can you say separate, separate, separate? No. The big self. So you, the one who has the knowledge, has reached the place where you become one with the self. And when you become one with the self, you become the big self. You become the SEAC. Got it? So, first you see this. Because you see yourself dissolving in the self. When you dissolve in the self, you become one with the self. When you become one with the self, that moment when the bottle was opened, remember the bottle got opened inside the sea? That is called self-realization. This self identifies with that self, the bigger self, and it becomes one with it. This is self-realization. You get that knowledge that you are now the big self. And then what happens? After you have become one with the self, the bigger self, then you see me, Krishna, as the over self. Who is the over self? Remember, you were the bottled water. There was a store, there was a godown where you were kept. The man who was running the godown, somebody who took the bottle to the ocean and opened it over there. When you become one with the sea, you forget all that, isn't it? All that is forgotten. Who says it is not there? That is also there. You have forgotten that that exists. You no longer are one with that, this other thing. So this manifest world, which is comprising of the bottles, liquid, color, sound, all the things which you can experience in this material realm, you completely forget about it. Who told you that? It is still there. You cannot disown it. So then you look at the one who is the master of that, this, and everything. You got it? So you are that little self in the big self. Now, but you are no longer little, you have become the big self. So when you look at yourself as the sea, do you see those bottles from the sea? Yes. You know, on the seashore, there are lots of these soft drink stalls there, no? They are selling water bottles also. Don't you know that? On the seashore, you will find a lot of these vendors selling a lot of stuff over there. You see all the bottles lined up. So as a sea, you are the big sea over there, okay, SEA. You are watching at all these bottles. That is also me. Okay, those bottles, no, they think they are separate now. That is also me. Isn't that what you mean? So now think about it. This self then looks at all the other things in this world. But that is also me, but that is something different. This is something different. The sky is different. The bottom is different. The sides are different. Who is the boss of all this? The God, Almighty God. So this is the understanding which a person gets. And that is called knowledge. If you become the self, doesn't mean that you have achieved anything. Okay, I can guarantee you this much. You might be self-realized. You might be some big, bazooka or whatever, big rocket for all. It doesn't matter. What is the big deal in that? It is just knowledge. You just have the knowledge that you are the self. Period. That's it. Full stop. You are not the over self. You are not the over self. God is always different. He is Almighty God. He is the supreme, the topmost, the highest, the unmentionable, the kind of things which you cannot even talk about. His name is not known. So he is the over self. He is the one who is on top of it. And we have to agree on that. So we are going to chapter 4, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, verse 36 now. Even if you are the most sinful of sinners, this knowledge alone would carry you like a raft across all your sins. Now, we will continue from where we left. You have now got dunked in the ocean, right? Now let us say you were an intoxicating drink. You may be a bottle of beer, let us say. So when the beer is poured in the ocean, what does it become? It becomes seawater, isn't it? Nothing beyond that. You lost your identity. You are no longer saying, I am the beer. No. Got it? You have become nothing. Zero. So do you get this? Even if the most sinful of the sinners, even if you are a bottle of the highest intoxicant in the world, even if you are a poisoned bottle, and if I am pouring it in the ocean, where is your identity? A bottle of potassium cyanide, a small bottle of potassium cyanide also, the worst poison maybe. If I pour it in the ocean, in the whole of the ocean, which covers only, I think, 70-80% of the earth, where is your identity? So now do you get the point? Even if you are the worst sinner in the world, you might have done all kinds of nonsensical things in this world. You might be the worst villain on earth. You might have killed thousands or millions, I don't know how many. You might have robbed the whole place down. You might be a dictator for all you know. You might be the worst king that ruled this land. But if you become enlightened, all those defects within you, when I dunk them in the ocean of immortality called the Brahma, the big ocean, the big sea, there is no identity left. There is nothing there. So none of the sins that are there make any sense to you or to anybody. Did you get the point? You might be the most poisoned bottle on earth. Doesn't matter. When I dunk it in the ocean, that poisoned bottle doesn't remain poisoned at all. It dissolves in the ocean and there is nothing left. So even if you are the most sinful of all sinners, every sinner in this world is there, and you are the worst among the worst of them. If there is a something worstest, there is no such word, but I'm just saying you are the worstest of the worstest. How many, gradations can there be? You may be the worst, doesn't matter. Of all the sinners, everybody is a sinner and you are the worst amongst them. This knowledge alone, this knowledge will carry you like a raft across all your sins. All your sins are going to get dissolved. So every human being should always aim for enlightenment. Then there is nothing to bother you about. That doesn't mean, okay? Now there is a disclaimer below. Please read the disclaimer over here. Doesn't mean that I am going to get enlightened in 10 years. So today I will kill, murder, do all kinds of nonsensical stuff just now. This disclaimer, don't do it, okay? Just thinking that I'm going to get enlightened, so I will do all the wrong stuff. No, don't do all the wrong stuff first. Never do that, okay? So please, don't be silly. Okay, so the thing which you should know is even the worst sins that are there in this world get wiped clean. So I will explain to you from the prarabdha point of view. Your prarabdha is still on. Means what? You are alive in this world and you are going towards the death. Yes, whatever that you are going to do, because you have got enlightened. Now let us say you got enlightened at the age of 30 or 35. Wow, great thing. And you are going to be alive till the age of 100. 65 years you are going to do all kinds of nonsensical stuff in this world. Because of your prarabdha. Okay, remember, your prarabdha is still alive. That prarabdha becomes zero. You will still go through all your hell, okay? but no accrual of any additional karma happens. Got it? No agami or kriyaman karma happens. Because now there is nothing to pay for. All your payments are done, finished. What happens to your sanchit? The accumulated over the period of time. It got dissolved. Didn't you see that? Everything got dissolved. It got washed away. So, you only have to go through your prarabdha karma. That's it. So, we move to the next one. This is verse 37, chapter 4 from the Bhagavad Gita. For as the blazing fire reduces the fuel to ashes, Arjuna, even so the fire of knowledge turns all actions to ashes. The moment you have the knowledge of this great truth, just the knowledge itself is sufficient. Reaching that place is not important. You can't reach. You see, you are not going to be dead so soon, right? You are still have got another 65 years to go. You have to celebrate your 100 years on this earth. So if you still have 65 more years to go, 35 you got enlightened, which means you got the knowledge at the age of 35, you are enlightened. Now what is it that you got to do? Nothing. You are just there. You just have to trudge along, just carry on till you reach 100, and then you wait for, okay, today I'm going to die. That's it. Beyond that, there is nothing. So what happens? It is like this blazing fire which reduces the fuel to ashes. There's a drum of kerosene lying over there, and the whole place is lit. What happens to that kerosene drum? It explodes, isn't it? There's nothing there. Afterwards, when you come over there, you will only find the drum pieces lying here and there. But where is the kerosene? It has got dissolved. It's like that. It's blazing fire. The blazing fire of knowledge. When you have this eternal knowledge, the truth that you know, when you become the knower of truth, when the knowledge strikes you, you have become enlightened. And because you have got enlightened, the knowledge itself is enough to destroy all the things in your life. All the nonsensical things that were there, they will no longer affect you. Got it? Alright, so we will do the next verse. This is verse 38 from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4. In this world, there is no purifier as great as knowledge. He who has attained purity of heart through prolonged practice of Karma Yoga automatically sees the light of truth in the self in course of time. So, an individual who has reached the state of enlightenment is knowledge incarnate, has become self-realized, he has become one with the self, all these things put together, okay, has knowledge, the knowledge of the truth. What is the truth? Remember, we started our satsang. Everybody is enlightened, but because of the covering of ignorance, you became not enlightened. You became an ordinary person. Now, this ordinary person became enlightened by throwing off all the layers after layers after layers, and he is just living in the world like an ordinary person. So how does an enlightened person look like? You think he grows two horns over here like this? No. Do you think he has a fantastic beard like this? No. There is no identifiable mark on this person. Please note that. There is no identifiable mark. I am enlightened. He's not going to get, pasted on his forehead over here. I am enlightened. No. There's nothing like that happening. He looks like an ordinary mortal. A human being. No great shakes. And this man or this woman is living in the world like an ordinary person. An enlightened person doesn't even have any special marks on his body. There is no tattoo which says, I am enlightened. No, no tattoo. God doesn't give tattoo. The self doesn't say, okay, I'm going to mark you with my, okay, now you belong to me. You're not some, goat or some, cattle somewhere that you have become enlightened. So please understand this. It is only called knowledge. When you meet an enlightened person, he is full of knowledge. Knowledge about the divine. He can talk to you about the scriptures. He can say some words which you may or may not understand. He's an enlightened person. How does the enlightened person look like? I told you, ordinary. An enlightened person can be any person. You may meet him in the middle of the street. How do you know? You have no idea of knowing. Alright? So, in this world, there is no purifier as great as knowledge. Even to all my lay disciples, I tell them one thing. Always, always become knowledgeable. Even in the material world, you should have knowledge. The material worldly knowledge is equally important. Remember what I said? You are the ocean, but do not discount the bottles over there that you see on the seashore. Did I not tell you that? If I am not going to discount those bottles and the seashore and the people roaming over there just because I have become an ocean, I cannot discount them. They are still there. And that is why it is called the overself. The overself, God Almighty is the master of not only the ocean, but the land, the people over there, everything which is manifest and the unmanifest. The unmanifest is the ocean and the manifest is the shore and everything that I can see on the shore. The whole land, the birds, the bees, everything, literally everything over there. Everything is belonging to that one called God. So if I know this, I know the answer to it. The question doesn't arise that I have no knowledge about it. When I have the knowledge about it, the knowledge is effulgent. It is like, light on everything. It throws light on everything. And this is what he says. There is no purifier greater than this knowledge. So always have the knowledge. Got it? Don't say, I don't know. Go get the knowledge. Alright? So in the spiritual world, it is important to meet the Guru and get the spiritual knowledge from him. In the material world, it is important to study whatever that you are doing and get the knowledge from the world. It is very, very important. Both these things are important. We should never discount both. He who has attained purity of heart through prolonged practice of Karma Yoga. Remember, what is the meaning of the Karma Yoga? Doing your duty in the world without expectation of any results. Don't bother about what is going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it is going to happen. All that is not your concern. You just put your foot forward. Got it? Just put your foot forward. Now in the last few days, what has been happening is most of the stores across the world have opened up. Alright? Now the coronavirus had shut down most of the stores. So for 2-3 months, everything was shut down. Now the last 15 days, everything has opened out. For 15 days, the people, those who are running the stores, have been waiting for customers to come. Hardly anyone walks into their store. The malls are open. There is not a soul inside the mall. The stores are open. There is nobody inside the stores. So in 15 days, people have got fed up of it. They said that There are no customers outside. I said to you, if you are a karma yogi, just do your job. When the customers are going to come, whether your customers are going to come or not, whether your store will shut down or whether it will continue, whether it will flourish, something may happen, the whole world will come to an end. Who cares? Don't bother about it. Just do your duty. So, the person who just does his duty without expectation of any results, such a kind of a person is doing this. He has attained purity of heart through prolonged practice of karma yoga. The karma yogi, when he practices this, just doing his duty consistently without expectation and not dropping out. See, in our world, we have people who for 15 days they will wait and they say, no customers are coming. What are we to do? We'll have to close down. And they keep on thinking. Now, what happens to these kind of people? Nothing happens to them. They are lost souls. They are not karma yogis. You have to continue to do what you are doing as if nothing has happened. Do you get the point? If you are a writer, continue to write. If you are an office goer and you have to work from home, continue to work. If you are an actor, continue to act. If you are a music director, make some music. Whatever you are not supposed to stop. Nothing should stop you. What is stopping you? Expectation of results? You are not a karma yogi. Got it? So continue to do. When you do those acts without expectation of anything, I can tell you, I should not be saying this, but in my world, let me tell you this. I have been consistently putting up my videos, my audios, my websites. Everything is consistently being done. You know how many years have gone by doing this? Many years. I am even today not expecting much of anything. Whatever comes, comes. The total number of subscribers is only into just few hundred. You know? Can you imagine this? I am giving every day a new talk. The editing is happening, everything is happening, the videos are getting put online. I am doing consistently. I am not expecting anything out of it. If somebody comes, they are welcome. If somebody goes, they are welcome too. Some persons like, some people dislike. That is their choice. How many find meaning in these words? Do you think I should be expecting that, oh, I should have 1 million followers? I am not even expecting 100. It is not my concern. Do you get the point? And there are people in this world, YouTube stars and all, and big people who are putting up podcast after podcast after podcast. You know, they are not satisfied with one channel. They have 100 channels. Yeah, they have 100 channels and everything is subscribed. Some channels are subscribed million followers. Some are subscribed at 100,000. Well, do you think I should be looking at these people and then saying, oh, they are doing so well? Karma yogi is a person who doesn't focus on results at all. His job is to continue to do the same thing. I will give you one example here again. When we started in January, I had 140 followers, 140. It became 136. And now it has become 144. And after listening to me, they can become 100. Doesn't matter. It's a joke, isn't it? But please understand this. It is not important what you do. You have to continue to do. What you do means looking at the results, okay? You should not be bothered so much at looking at the results. Oh, this is happening. Doesn't matter. When I am opening the YouTube, I can see, okay, this is there. And I am telling you, there should be no envy, there should be no jealousy, there should be no disturbance in the mind at all. I just gave you statistics and I am laughing at it because if I have to focus on it, by today I should have had billion people following me, correct? But it doesn't matter. Remember, at the end of the day, it is the over self. I am bothered about just churning out things which I have been told to do. It is my duty. Think about it like this. I am also setting you an example. As your guru, it is my job to set you an example. Doesn't matter. It shouldn't really matter. There are great painters in this world, They died without selling a single painting of theirs. When after their death they went and saw so many paintings lying in their godowns. And yes, they became famous after death. So whenever I have my disciples with me, I said, don't worry, very soon I will become famous after I am gone. Don't worry. And posthumously, very good. There are some people who win Nobel Prize posthumously and they don't get even 1 rupee when they are alive. Doesn't matter. And those people are real karma yogis. Remember this. A karma yogi who has attained purity of heart. The purity of heart is all that is needed. And when you do the karma yoga perfectly, no expectation whatsoever, and that moment you will become the karma yogi and your heart will become absolutely pure. He automatically sees the light in the self in course of time. So this person who is the knower of truth will see the ultimate truth also. The ultimate truth is the over self, God Almighty. He will be able to cross over the ocean of immortality as well. So we will do the next verse. This is verse 39 from chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita. He who has mastered his senses is exclusively devoted to his practice and in full faith attains knowledge. Having had the revelation of truth, he immediately attains supreme peace in the form of God realization. I just now explained to you. You have to master your senses. You should not be bothered about your senses. Nothing should bother you. If there is somebody who is doing something wrong, that person is doing wrong. What can you do about it? If somebody is doing something right, it's not your job to keep on praising that person, neither admonishing the person who has done something wrong. It is not your job. If you are a self-realized being, you are not supposed to go and condemn anybody or praise anybody. No, that is not your job. Do you get the point? Spiritual people do not indulge in any of these things. There are lots of wrong things happening in this world. You see, in every religion, you will find that there are pedophiles. There are people who are terrorists like. They are very narrow-minded people. And some of them are really very great people. Some of them are the epitome of love. You think I should be disturbed just because I am the knower of truth? Somebody who is doing something wrong? Well, the person who is doing wrong is supposed to be doing wrong. He is supposed to. There are sharks in the ocean, isn't it? There are tigers and leopards and all these creatures on the earth also, isn't it? There are dictators and pedophiles on this earth. Can I help them? They are going to be around. There are people who do human sacrifices. Do you think I should be bothered about human sacrifice? Yes, there is somebody to catch them also, no? It's not my job to become a policeman. No, I am supposed to be lost in the self, right? So why should I be bothered about what the other person's job is? That person is supposed to do his duty. A policeman is supposed to do his duty. A politician is supposed to do his duty. A person who is working in an office is supposed to do his duty. A sweeper is supposed to do his duty. Got it? If somebody is dirtying the place, somebody has to clean it. There are people in this world who can do it. And if you are involved in it, you are also the sweeper. Go and sweep it. That is your job, not mine. If I have a job which I have to do it diligently. So he says, the person who has mastered the senses is exclusively devoted to the practice and full of faith. The exclusivity is to what you are doing. If you are a physicist, be a physicist. If you are an economist, be an economist. If you are a spiritualist, be a spiritualist. If you are a writer, be a writer. Everybody has been given their specific world, their place in this world. They are supposed to do that diligently. So have full faith in God and do your job, whatever the job that is there. Then the person attains knowledge, the knowledge of the mundane world and the knowledge of the spiritual world. Both these will come to you if you are a perfect karma yogi. When you become a perfect karma yogi, you will attain both this knowledge. Having had the revelation of truth, the truth which we told you about, I have been talking about for the last 1 hour. When the revelation of the truth happens, that you are the self and there is an over self, he immediately attains supreme peace in the form of God realization. So such a kind of a person, he reaches the end of the line. Remember getting into the aircraft, traversing the whole journey, and now you are getting off at your destination. When you get off at your destination, you are not bothered about your journey, you are not bothered about anything, you are bothered about meeting whomsoever concerned. Are you bothered about the person next to you, sitting next to you? No. Those could be your mother, father, relatives, or whoever it might be. Now you are going ahead meeting this person, whoever it is. So when you reach the state of realization, the person that you are meeting is called the self. And then the over self. When you are meeting the self, do you really think you are bothered about other people? Nothing bothers you. That is what he says. Having had the revelation of the truth, he immediately attains supreme peace in the form of God realization. Peace comes to this person. When you reach your destination, whatever destination that you are going to, isn't it that you feel at home? You have arrived. Now today there are lots of people in this world who have not reached their house. They might be coming from some villages. They are trying desperately to reach there, and the train is also there. Now when they reach their destination, they have reached home. When a person reaches the home of the self, the divine, the consciousness, the supreme divine consciousness, what happens to this person? He gets fully peaceful. There is nothing in this world which disturbs him. So all these things which were disturbing him, like left, right, bad, good, whatever the two extremes that are there, envy, anxiety, this, that, so many things are there, happiness, joy. Nothing troubles this person. He is at peace. So we have come to the end of verse 39. Next time we will be doing verse 40 onwards. And I'll see you all next week for this satsang. Some of you have been writing questions to me. Please send me those questions so that we can do the Q&A session in the evening. Every day in the evening we are doing at 4:30 in the evening. Please send your questions over. There is a link below which is there. And I will do my dasbodh in the evening. All right. Take care. Have a great day and I'll see you all later. Bye.